Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, General Dan Kaine, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Good morning, Mr. President, Madam First Lady, Secretary Hegseth, members of the President's Cabinet, and leaders from across government, the military, distinguished visitors, veterans, first responders, fellow Americans, and most importantly, the families of our fallen from that day. Thank you for being here to gather in remembrance, to grieve our nation's loss, and draw strength from the heroism Americans demonstrated that day. September 11th reminds us that even in the darkest of times, American strength endures, and if attacked, we will immediately fight back. 24 years ago, on a beautiful morning here in Washington, American Airlines Flight 77 took off at 8:20 a.m. from Dulles International Airport, with 59 passengers and crew bound for Los Angeles. Here at the Pentagon, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardmen, and civilians began what they thought would be an ordinary day of service. They kissed their loved ones goodbye, dropped kids off at daycare, and commuted in here for another day of duty, having no idea what they were about to face. 200 miles north of here, Al-Qaeda terrorists took control of two aircraft, American Airlines Flight 11 and United Airlines Flight 175. At 8:46 a.m., the first plane was flown deliberately into the North Tower, and minutes later, the second airplane was flown into the second tower. We all knew at that very moment that our world had changed, that America was at war. And then at 9:37 a.m., just moments ago, 24 years ago, American Airlines Flight 77 ripped through the west wall here at the Pentagon, where our flag outside the building now hangs. And this ground that we stand upon became hollowed. 2,977 were lost in the attacks that morning. The conventional wisdom is that our nation went to war weeks later in Afghanistan. The truth is, we went to war immediately, and America started to fight back before the attack was even over. In New York City, firefighters, police officers, paramedics, first responders, and everyday citizens charged into towers, climbing hundreds and hundreds of flights of stairs to rescue their fellow Americans. And right here in this courtyard at the Pentagon, as flames filled the corridors and smoke followed, service members and civilians went into that flame to save their fellow teammates. They covered their faces with T-shirts rolled in water to shield their skin and pushed through the fire and rubble. They carried the wounded out, and they went back in again and again and again and again until others had to stop them from going back. And even as this building burned, the Pentagon never shut down. Survivors organized, and thousands went to work to defend our nation. And there were 40 first responders on United Airlines Flight 93. 40 heroes who, unlike us who wear the cloth of our nation, never took an oath to protect and defend our nation. They just got on an airplane, and knowing full well what was happening, they found the courage and commitment to run forward in that airplane, sacrificing themselves over the fields of Pennsylvania to save Americans that they would never meet and never know. And I, for one, think of them every day and the gift of courage that they gave my squadron mates and I on that day. So as we come here together, let us reflect and let us never forget. Let us never forget the families who've shown us what true courage looks like as they continue to persevere through the years after. And let us all be inspired by the determination of those brave heroes who showed us that day what America is all about. And let anybody who ever considers attacking the United States remember those examples as well, and the great American warrior spirit that was shown that day. Thank you very much. And now it's my distinct honor to introduce our nation's Secretary of War. May we never forget our fallen. May we never forget our deployed. Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of War, the Honorable Pete Hegseth.
24 years ago, Islamist terrorists massacred nearly 3,000 innocent American lives in New York City, Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and right here at the Pentagon. The building you see behind me, the War Department, was targeted in an act of savage evil. And today on these hallowed grounds, we gather to honor those victims and heroes with the resolve to never forget. We gather to pay tribute to the first responders who charged into the flames and up the stairs, to those trapped on planes fighting their final fight, and to the families whose lives were forever altered by that fateful day. Like everyone in this audience, I remember exactly where I was when that first tower was struck. A college junior with a fresh set of Army fatigues in my dorm room closet, having just joined Army ROTC. Like too many Americans, I was naive to the threats brewing abroad and infiltrating our shores. But from that day forward, I felt an unshakable call to action, a duty to defend our sacred homeland with everything I had. Like all of you, 9/11 was the ultimate validator to serve. But I was not alone. An entire generation of warriors stepped forward, willing to pay the ultimate price to exact